everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Best and Worst. This is the show where we talk about one of our favorite talents and we talk about their best and worst film. And this is a companion to our Hidden Gems podcast. And we hope that if you enjoy this smaller episode, that you will check out the longer Hidden Gems podcast where we talk about a streaming service and our favorites from that streaming service. And this week we're talking about HBO Max. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Ryan is here.
Hey Rachel, it's so great to be back with you once again, and today we're doing the best and worst of Colin Farrell. Now, when it comes to Colin Farrell, I don't think he's had a ton of starring roles per se, but I've always known him as a good side dish to the main course. He's been in movies like Minority Report, and he was in Tigerland from the late Joel Schumacher. He's been around, but he's in those smaller roles that you would be like, wait, who is played by him? And he's like, oh yeah, that's Colin Farrell. Oh yeah.
It's true. He's kind of like Ben Foster in that way. We did the best and worst of Ben Foster. And I think that's kind of a similar type of dynamic.
Yeah, that was either our first or second episode of doing this. Wow,
yeah, it was really early on.
Way.
Yeah. Yeah, and Colin Farrell, you can always count on him giving a good performance, even in a weaker film. He will do a good job, and he's done lots of more artistic work, and then also your mainstream films, like your franchise films, and so he's done a little of everything. So Ryan, why don't you start and tell us your best of Colin Farrell?
So my favorite Colin Farrell performance, and I was kind of going back and forth on these two between Roman J. Israel Esquire or The Gentleman. I wanted to go with Roman J. Israel, but at the end of the day, I said to myself, that's more of a Denzel movie than a Colin Farrell movie. And I decided to go with The Gentleman as my favorite. Because even though he is a side player, he is a very interesting side player. And that's very good, because The Gentleman had Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, and several others that could have been far more interesting than he was, but Farrell turned out to be really interesting in his own right. He plays a character who helps at-risk youth by training them at his boxing gym. And for some reason, the Colin Farrell with the Guy Ritchie dialogue just really shines like a diamond here. There's a particular scene where he finds out that one of his students may be buying some drugs, and he just completely chews him out and gives him this speech of, it's going to lead from here to there to here to there until you're in jail. And and it's harsh, but he's coming from a good place. As far as the rest of the movie goes, The Gentleman is one of my favorite movies of last year. And it, that was pre-pandemic. That was one of the last movies I saw in theaters. So maybe my memories are still good. But anyway, it's a Guy Ritchie movie with charismatic actors, great dialogue, and a phenomenal Colin Farrell performance. So there it is.
Very good. Yeah, I almost picked Saving Mr. Banks because I do love that film, and he is integral to making that film work, with he playing P.T. Travers' alcoholic father. And I think he gives a really wonderful performance there. But I still think you'd probably say it's Tom Hanks' movie. And I do love it, though, very much. But my favorite role from Colin Farrell is probably The New World. And this is one of Terrence Malick's most accessible films. So if you don't like the more esoteric Terrence Malick with Tree of Life and Knight of Cups and movies like that, then this one might win you over, because it actually has a story, and it's a much more accurate, better told version of the Pocahontas story than the Disney version, certainly. And it's very beautifully told and beautifully acted. And I mean, Emmanuel Lubezki is such a great cinematographer, and he does such a wonderful job. So this one, I think, is probably his best movie that he's ever made with Terrence Malick. So that's my favorite. What would you say is your worst of Colin Farrell?
So as far as my worst goes, again, it came down to actually three choices: the Total Recall remake, Artemis Fowl, or Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And I chose Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them because in Artemis Fowl, he was only in 2 scenes, literally 2. And in Total Recall, the movie had a good idea, but it was automatically at a handicap because the original is up here and the remake was like down here somewhere. So it wasn't Colin Farrell's fault. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, though, he is just your average run of the mill villain. I've slowly gained a bit of a distaste for these movies and just their general unnecessary, their feeling of how unnecessary they are. Like, they don't tie into the main Potter story. They're trying to do something with Dumbledore, though the series may be in a state of flux right now for a variety of reasons. But again, Farrell is just he's just kind of there, like, and he just kind of plays a proxy for Johnny Depp's Gellert Grindelwald. Like, you could have literally put anyone else in that position, and it would have gotten the job done fine. Again, it's not Colin Farrell's fault, but he doesn't really help things by his performance, and he literally could be played by anyone.
Yeah, they that was a terrible sub out to sub Colin Farrell for Johnny Depp. Like, no, that was very bad. And I mean, everyone knows how much I hated the second one of those. So he's not in that one though, so I can't blame him for that. But yeah, it kind of soured me on the whole series. Yeah.
Wait, you hate Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald? You
Yeah.
don't say.
Yeah. So I picked for my worst of Colin Farrell. I did pick Artemis Fowl, and it is low hanging fruit. And you're right; he's only in a couple scenes, but that movie wasn't even a movie. It was just the beginning of a movie. It was all set up and no cream filling. There was nothing. There's no story, and it's not really his fault. But I don't know. It was the worst movie he's been in for sure. And I mean, I could say The Lobster because I really didn't like that. It was so heavy handed, but I get that other people like it. And I get the director was trying to do something creative. I just felt like it should have been a short story and not a feature film. But that would, I guess, be my other pick. But I don't think it's really a bad movie. It's just not for me. So there we go. That is our best and worst of Colin Farrell. I think he came out pretty unscathed. He should be pretty happy with that, I think.
Yeah,
So,
on the whole, he's remained relatively consistent.
yeah, that's right. So there we go. Let us know in the comment section what your best and worst of Colin Farrell are, please. And we would really love to hear that. And make sure you check out our longer episode on Hidden Gems, reviews of Godzilla vs. Kong, and our reviews of Zack Snyder's Justice League over there. So check that out, and our picks for Hidden Gems. So it's a really fun episode, and I would really love your comments. And so Ryan, where can people find you?
Well, first off, we can't say that Warner Brothers haven't been busy boys this
That's
past month.
right.
Uh, People can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. Then there's, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just called Ryan Cam. I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched my WandaVision video. It was kind of a difference of opinion, but this community can sometimes be relatively volatile, and the feedback I've been getting has been genuinely nice. So I do thank everyone for that. And I also want to thank everyone for the positive reactions to the video I did with Rachel in Durban on the Prince of Egypt that dropped on Easter Sunday. That video turned out better than I could have ever hoped for. So I can't thank Rachel, and I can't thank every one of you all enough for watching it. For the rest of this week, I'll be dropping an AFI project video on Friday. We're recording this on a Thursday for the Clint Eastwood film Unforgiven. So that's coming up. And then on Sunday, I'll be dropping a big old retrospective on the Three Flavors of Cornetto trilogy. That's Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. I put a lot of time and effort into the channel. I'm so happy with where the channel's going, and I'm only on the ground floor. It's going to get higher and higher from here.
Yeah, you should all definitely check out his channel. It's really good stuff. And then make sure you're following me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Please check that all out. I would really appreciate it. And then we also have our Patreon group, and it's very exciting. We are having a special event for April where we are going to be able to do a special patron only Q&A with actress Mary Lou Henner. So that is going to be a special thing, only $2 a month to join the Patreon, and you get to ask Mary Lou Henner whatever you want. It's pretty cool. So check that out. And then also we have our merch store, which has some really cool designs. So thanks so much, everybody, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye.